Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pitera channel. And as cruising is about to start again after the pandemic, I thought we'd take some time and talk about how to protect yourself from getting sick on board your next cruise. Not only from COVID, but really sick in general aboard a cruise ship. Some of these you're going to be well aware of, and some of them may be new to you. So I'm going to be back to tell you all about the 15 things that you can do to stay safe aboard a cruise ship right after this. Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for staying through the intro. And if you're new to our channel, please click the subscribe button. Make sure you click the bell notification just next to it. That way YouTube will let you know whenever we upload a brand new video. Now, today we're going to talk about the things that will keep you safe aboard your next cruise, no matter what cruise line that you're on. So the first thing we're going to get out of the way, and it's what people are dreading the most, and that's wearing a mask on board a cruise ship. I know, I'm with you. I'm dreading wearing a mask on a cruise ship as well. But if that's what I have to do in order to cruise, heck, I would rather be on a cruise ship wearing a mask than be here at home wearing a mask. So in the public areas, especially if it's mandatory, don't be that one guy who refuses to follow the rules. Wear your mask. It will keep you safe on board your next cruise, at least until this pandemic is over. Okay, so number 2 is another one of those that, if you haven't heard this term by now, you're probably not living on the planet Earth, and that is social distancing. Now, a lot of the cruise lines say that they're not going to book their ships to capacity to help social distancing on board be easier for everybody, so less people, easier to social distance. But keep social distancing in mind all the time when you're on a cruise ship. Just like here back at home, try to maintain 6 feet between you and that person next to you in case they're sick. That way your chance of getting whatever they have will be much less. Number 3 is wash your hands and use hand sanitizer, and do this often. Bring your own hand sanitizer. Now, the cruise is going to have a lot more of them on board than they had before COVID, but bring a bottle of your own. That way you have it handy and you can use your sanitizer literally throughout the day, but also use the hand washing stations every single time you pass one. Even if you haven't touched anything, better to be safe than sorry, because you could be the one person that spreads anything that came on board the ship with you to everybody else. Number 4, and this one isn't so obvious, but almost all cruise lines give you a sign card, or a sail and sign as they call it on Carnival, but it's a ship card that shows who you are and you can charge products on board the cruise ship. Now, almost every major cruise line, you don't physically have to hand that card over to a cashier. You can just show it to them. They can take the number off the card, put that in the computer. The computer's going to pop up with your picture so they'll know who you are. But anytime you can prevent it, don't hand your card to somebody, because handing it back and forth could be transferring germs or viruses. So just show them the card, ask them if that's acceptable, and most likely you can do that on any cruise line 90% of the time. Number 5, and this is another one that a lot of people just aren't going to like, and that is avoid the buffet. I know the buffet is a great part of cruising. I love the buffet as well, but the buffet is one of those areas where lots of people are touching and feeling and hovering, and there's lines to get the food. So if at all possible, unless you really see that thing that you really have to have, go to the dining room. A lot less people touching things, and avoiding the buffet could be the way for you to stay healthy. Number 6, and this is primarily on Carnival. Last year, Carnival announced that they weren't doing butter packages any longer. They had a new system where they have a jar that's got whipped butter in it, and then they've got 2 containers, one full of knives and one that's empty, and you're supposed to take a clean knife, scoop the butter, put it on your plate or on your roll, then take that dirty knife and put it in the next container. I can't tell you enough, Carnival. I sure hope when we come back to cruising you've abandoned this, because not only did people hate it for obvious reasons, but now it just seems to me that it would be very unhealthy as well, as everybody be putting their hands in those containers. So if Carnival is still doing their famous butter program, avoid the butter. Number 7, and this is one that a lot of people don't know, is you can carry all of your bags on board the cruise ship. So traditionally, you're going to check all of your larger bags with the porters out on the cruise docks. and those porters are going to see that your luggage gets on board the ship and they will deliver it to your cabin. You can actually carry all of your luggage on board. That's going to save from other people handling your luggage, specifically in the areas where you're probably going to touch it as well, and make it so that your bags don't get touched as nearly as many people. Now, the downside to that obviously is you're still going to have to carry your bags all the way up onto your room and then all the way out afterwards. But it could save you from getting some germs. Now, the porters out there do work really hard, and tips are really how they make their income. So even if you're planning on carrying your own bags, if you can afford a couple extra dollars, find a porter, let them know you're carrying your bags on, but you appreciate them, and hand them a couple bucks as a tip. Number 8 is another obvious one, is don't use the handrails whenever possible, or the deck rails that overlook the ocean. Those rails get touched by everybody all the time. And by not using those handrails, you could avoid spreading any type of infection that might be on those rails. Now, of course, you may need them to go up and down the steps, and we're going to touch upon that in a couple seconds. But if at all possible, don't use the handrails throughout the ship. Number 9, and we touched upon this a couple seconds ago, about bringing your own sanitizer on board. My wife gets a spray sanitizer, and bring that and spray everything that you touch before you touch it, as well as your hands after you're done using it. It don't make a difference what it is. If you're going to use the handrail, which I advise not to, spray that handrail off first, sanitize it. Literally anything that you're going to touch that other people have touched, spray it first, and then spray your hands after. Number 10 is another obvious one, but if it looks like somebody has sick, if they have the sniffles, if they're sneezing, if they're coughing, keep your distance from them. Stay as far away as possible. Seems kind of obvious, but you would be surprised how many people don't do that and think nothing about walking right up on somebody that's showing signs that they may be under the weather. So if somebody's showing any signs that they may not be feeling well, simply don't go near them. Number 11 is don't touch anything that you personally aren't going to use. What I mean by that is, we as a people are a very touchy-feely people. As you're going through the buffet and you're grabbing a plate, if you're going to use the buffet, touch only the plate that you're going to use. If you're going to get cereal boxes from the cereal, don't touch every cereal box while you're trying to figure out which one you want. Only touch the things that you personally are going to use. That way you're not spreading anything, and if everyone else is doing that, they're not spreading anything to you. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when you go to even to the supermarket, you see people rifling through the shelves. In today's, with the whole COVID thing, you just can't do that. So again, only touch the things that you personally are going to use, and never put anything back after you've touched it. Number 12, and this is a hard one, but If at all possible, use the restrooms in your own cabin. Before you get on board the ship, your cabin is going to be completely sanitized from top to bottom from the guests before you. So really the only people that are going to be in your cabin is you and the steward who is in there sanitizing things throughout the voyage. So by using your own restroom, you're not sharing in all those germs from using the public areas where other people are going to be using those restrooms. Now, of course, there's going to be times where you can't help it. I get that. I have that happen often myself. But when you can, plan on stopping by your own room and using your own restroom whenever possible. Number 13, and we touched upon this a little bit when we talked about using the handrails, is avoid the elevators, especially packed elevators, because certainly you're going to be crowded in there with other people. I'm really hoping the cruise lines themselves limit the amount of people in the elevators, although I don't know how feasible that's going to be to monitor. But avoid the elevators, even ones that are empty when you get on board, because as you go up and down, people are going to get on board those elevators and they could be carrying something. So whenever possible, use the stairs, and again, avoid the handrails unless you absolutely have to. Number 14 is to stay away from guest services unless you have to be there. Not only does all the people there take the chance on getting the crew sick who are dealing with everybody on an everyday basis, but you're taking your chances as well because those lines are typically long and there's people coming and going, touching the counter all day long. Almost every major cruise line that I know of has an app that you can use on your telephone. A lot of the cruise lines even have kiosks that you can use to check and print out your bill, so you don't have to go to guest services or call them from your stateroom. You might wait a couple extra minutes for them to answer the phone, but trust me, it's worth doing that rather than getting sick at guest service. Now, I'm not saying you will get sick at guest services, but it's possible, and this is just one of those other tips to keep you safe. And the 15th and final one, and this is probably the most important, is don't lie. When you board the ship, you're going to go through a health questionnaire with a nurse. They're going to ask you lots of questions about how you're feeling. And I know if you have some symptoms, it's hard to say, hey, I'm not feeling well, and potentially take the chance of losing your vacation. But the alternative is absolutely horrible. So if you're not feeling well when they ask you, please, for your sake and for the safety of the passengers and crew of the cruise ship that you're going to be on, don't lie about how you're feeling. Tell the truth. I promise the cruise ship, if there's any way to get you on board, whether or not it's going to be to quarantine you for 24 hours or any other way to get you on board and enjoy your cruise or reschedule it, they are going to work with you. They want you to be honest to keep yourself safe and to keep everyone else safe. So those are my 15 tips for staying healthy once we start cruising again. I hope you take most of them into your daily routine on board. I can't wait for cruising to open back up. Cruising is safe. I know these tips kind of make it sound like it might not be safe on board. I promise you it is, but like anywhere else in the world, viruses can board a cruise ship just as if they could invade your local Walmart or any place else you visit on a day-to-day basis. So take these in mind when you're on board a cruise ship, and hopefully this will make you stay safe and healthy and have a great cruise. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, click that little bell notification. That way you'll know every time I upload a brand new video. Until next time, I hope to see you very soon on the Lido deck.